and say whatever you want. And I guess the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs was worse than we thought it was going to be. But Todd Bowles, a former Jet head coach. This is what happens when you have players in your roster. And when Tom Brady comes to Tampa Bay and teaches everybody how to win, and he brings Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown with him, who all play significant roles on offense. And then you have this Devin White machine running from sideline to sideline making tackles. And of course, Levante David and Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett just absolutely terrorizing Patrick Mahomes. And you know what? I would think, like we were talking about this after the game last night, the one thing that we never saw was one, if not 4 or 5, of those great scrambling plays that he makes every game. I mean, so Todd Bowles' defense – basically, and the scheme that he played was absolutely perfect, and it just goes to show you, how important an offensive line is. Winning the line of scrimmage. Tom Brady had the better offensive line, and the Bucs had the better defensive line. And you're right, man. They just absolutely shellacked the Chiefs. I mean, this was a beating that the Chiefs are going to have a hard time getting up from today, and they're going to feel sick about the game because it was never really
this
close.
Is one of those we have to change what we do type of games, because this was the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs. Now, not everybody's going to have the same players. Not everybody's going to have that great of a defensive line to be able to get after Patrick Mahomes, but this is one of those things that it changes the way you feel about the Kansas City Chiefs. And not so much Patrick Mahomes and his skill set or any of those guys, but you have an idea of how you can beat them. And there were a couple of times that Mahomes was about to make a great play, one of those scrambling plays. The throw that he made when he was basically, hovering in the air horizontally, and he throws that ball and it just hits his teammate in the face, so I forget already who it was. Darrell Williams, who he hits right in the face. Then there was another one where he threw to the back corner of the end zone, and Pringle was there. It didn't happen. But, those special moments didn't happen. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown. There was one of the stats I saw. This was the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career in the NFL and in college in a game that he has started where his offense didn't score a touchdown. Now, I mean, I knew the Bucs defense was tough. I knew that team was tough. But this tough? I mean, to completely suffocate the NFL's greatest offensive show like this? I mean, on one hand, you want to give them all the credit in the world, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Brady, and what an amazing season, and he pulled it off, and I never thought he'd be able to do this, especially with his guys, as you mentioned, Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. It's like crazy. He's like, he just brings these guys over, and hey, I'm going to throw 2 to Gronkowski, I'm going to go throw another one to Antonio Brown, I'm going to win a Super Bowl MVP. It's insane. But this was, it was... For a passive observer who loves football, this was not a good game. This is a forgettable football game.
I honestly, I really felt like the officials were way too involved in the first half. I mean, they call the holding penalty against Kansas City Chiefs when Tyrann Mathieu has a deflected interception. And
that was a phantom one for me.
Right. To me, it was like. That was the type of play that I was talking about in the second half because, at halftime, because that play changes the whole dynamic of the game. And, there are other plays, but the Chiefs had what they wanted. They got a tip at the line of scrimmage, and because it's defensive holding, it doesn't matter if the ball's tipped because the holding happens before the ball's thrown. If it's interference, it's a different story. It's most likely going to be an interception. It's going to be Tyrann Mathieu's ball. I thought Tyrann Mathieu had a very tough first half. Look, Tom Brady was screaming at him. He screamed back at Tom Brady. Then he gets the flag thrown at him. Jensen, the center for Tampa Bay, goes after Chris Jones. Chris Jones goes back after Jensen, retaliation. He gets a flag thrown at him. I mean, and those flags are killers.
Neutral zone infraction on the field goal, too. I mean,
yes.
That leads to a touchdown after that, giving them the 5 yards.
And I couldn't tell. I didn't see a replay, so I couldn't tell whether or not the Chiefs actually
Well, it looked like 2 guys
offside.
were in the neutral zone. But,
did they?
But that's
all right.
That's one of those things where, if that's 7 yards, if it's 4th and 7, they still kick the field goal. It happened to be 4th and 5. And if 2 guys are in the neutral zone, then it's a penalty. I mean, it's a stupid penalty.
And that came right, and that was the Bucs' next series after they got stopped on 4th and goal down on the 1 yard line.
After that shank punt.
And then that's right. The rookie punter for the Chiefs just had an awful punt, so it gives them great field position, and they go down and score in the touchdown anyway. But I don't know. I felt like the officials were way too involved in the first half. And then in the second half, Kansas City comes down, they kick a field goal, which you can't do in games like this, especially when you got the other quarterback on the other side. The other quarterback on the other side, no disrespect to anybody else, that's Tom Brady. He's unlikely he's going to have the second half that he had against the Green Bay Packers, and he certainly didn't. But that first drive that the Bucs had in the third quarter, where Leonard Fournette was just running over everybody, I think kind of just showed everybody just how much of an ass kicking it was. Because it was an offensive line that was just absolutely dominating. Brady, I think, got sacked once. He might have gotten hit twice. I think Patrick Mahomes got hit 14 or 15 times.
It was the most amount
of
pressures in Super Bowl history on any quarterback was last night on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he was under assault. I don't know how much of the pregame show you watched.
I watched 4 of the 15 hours.
I appreciate that. What's his name? Nate had a great interview with Jason Pierre-Paul, and Jason Pierre-Paul was like I had never seen him before. He was really energetic and open. He goes, hey, I don't have to worry about Patrick Mahomes. He's got to worry about me. And he was right. I mean, everything he said in that interview basically came to fruition last night. And he, Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh. And Ndamukong Suh still, I don't know.
Oh, my God. I mean, did you see that?
Still a 30, yes. I mean, there were points in this game, and I know that the game is moving fast. You don't have a million ways to say different things, and we all see the game a different way, and we all think that this guy should say that, this guy should say this, and this is how the game should be talked about and everything else. But, man, guy's still a 30 player.
There's just something going on in his brain where he's got to act that way. Oh, let me ask you something about the pregame show, though. So one of the 2 things that I saw, so Jason La-Canfora comes on, and he says that Bruce Arians was considering giving Todd Bowles the head coaching job and stepping down if they win. But then the Cowher interview with Arians, he says the exact opposite of that. Now, I know after the game, Arians said the exact opposite of that, but even in the Cowher interview, he goes, so you going to come back? What happens if you win, huh? What is it, you going to come down for another year? And then Arians goes, no, hell, I'm going to go for 2. And if we lose, I'm sure as hell going to come back. And then the Jason La-Canfora thing was going on. That was confusing because I thought that would have been a very interesting storyline as the game went on.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.